Hi Sarah, thank you for uploading your homework. You sent and your photo shoot. You sent us a question, so I'll answer them. I was shooting on manual on a low aperture. When you say a low aperture, I'm assuming you mean a wide aperture and a lowish ISO. Okay, but I was having a hard time getting the right exposure. I tried changing the shutter speed, but I couldn't seem to get it right. How do I help myself get the correct exposure? So, the questions, I mean, you've got the back screen. There's really only one way of getting correct exposure now, is looking at the back screen. You can look at the histogram, okay? I don't get involved in the histogram because there's too many reasons why it could be off. I find that I'm very used to the back screen. It's difficult when it's very bright because you can't see the screen. When you say you can't, I have to see the picture because it can be that it was a wacky light situation where there was lots of light in one place and not a lot of light in another place, which would have caused you issues. I have to see the picture you're talking about and I'll be able to comment more specifically on that. I'll comment on the pictures below. Are you only allowed to use the widest aperture available when you have one? First things first, there's not like only allowed, okay? You can do what you want. Just might as well make sense. Sorry. Are you only allowed to use the widest aperture available when you have one subject and you're not too close? So are you only allowed to use the widest aperture available when you have one subject and you're not too close? Once I have more than one subject, I was too nervous to use lower than 3.2. Am I right? Or are there ways that I could have? So with your camera, the depth of field, because you have a crop frame camera, you have a Rebel or Canon Rebel, your depth of field is actually longer, quite a lot longer than a full frame camera. So my full frame camera 1.8 at an 85mm lens gives you, this is going to sound a bit technical, but if you go back through the class, you'll understand it's quite straightforward. My full frame camera with an 85mm lens at 1.8 gives you a very, very shallow depth of field. I would never take a picture ever of two people, not never ever. I would incredibly rarely take a picture of two people at 1.8, especially if they're closest to me. Definitely not. I would go to something like 1.8. I meant 1.8. I would go to something like 2.5, something like that. On your camera, however, you've got a much longer depth of field. You can even shoot two people without a question at 1.8. Just test. Make sure you have a go. Try it when you do it, and you're doing it with people that care about the pictures. Take that picture and then change the settings. You're going to learn in the next class 5, how you can just go click, click, click with one setting and click, click, click the other way with another setting, and you'll come back to the same exposure. So you can just do that very quickly. But you have to work these things out yourself. Okay, I'm still doing that. I could give you a few stories now, but I don't want to waste our time. But about how I've been doing that over the past week as well. 15 years in. Sorry, pardon my hoarse voice as well. When I have more than one subject, I'm not sure where the right place to focus is. If there are different distances, do I just focus in the middle? Is it better to fully focus on one subject? Okay, so this is a very, very good question. The basic, simple answer is like this. If you've got three people, one in front of the next, focus on the middle person's face. Okay? If it's a situation where it's not so straightforward, if you've got two rows, for example, and it's not so straightforward to find that place in the middle, focus on the back row. Okay, that is real, that is true. I know that's true. Focus on the back row, and your foreground will be less out of focus. And if you focus on the front row, and the background will be more out of focus. You with me? That is, if you focus on the back row, the front row will be a bit out of focus. If you focus on the front row, the back row will be more out of focus. Okay, so better to focus on the back row. Okay, once I change my aperture, do I have to change my shutter speed to balance out for the exposure? Wait for question 5. Excellent question. You're gonna love not question 5. wait for class 5. Okay, you're gonna love it. It's all gonna come together, and you're gonna be going like, wow, oh wow. Okay, I attached an underexposed image. Can you tell me what should have been done differently? Let me find that one. I saw that before. That is underexposed. What settings are you in? You're in manual. Okay, what you should have done is given yourself a little bit more shutter speed, gone down to say a 400th of a second, or you could have gone up to 200 ISO. Wait for class 5, okay? Your questions will be answered, I guarantee you. And now, an image where I wasn't sure where the best place to focus on was, and what aperture would you use for such an image. That's the other one. Where is that? I saw that as well. Here we go. Okay, so, so look, your focus is, you're dealing with a rebel, so we can't be so precise, okay? That does make a difference when you're looking at precision issues. The concept of a rebel with a cheap lens as opposed to like a 5D with an expensive lens. So you've missed focus slightly. He's a little, see, it's because the actual, I can't see where the focus is. I can't zoom in enough as well. At first I thought there was camera shake, but at a 500th of a second, there could be a little bit of camera shake, but I don't know. This is chromatic aberration from your lens. I understand what's annoying you. I would say that this is just a issue with the optics. I would have taken now knowing your camera, I would take a lot more pictures. Okay, in my opinion, and you have to test this, 2.2 on my camera with your 50mm lens on your camera is like an 80mm lens on my camera. 2.2, I probably wouldn't take this picture. I'd be at 2.5. Your camera, that should be fine, but test it. Do test it. Okay, lots is going to come clear for the next class. Let's jump in. So look, I'm going to say this quickly now. This is great. 1.8. You were on, what were you on? You were on aperture priority. Yeah. You could look back at this picture. Oh wait, why is that? Oh yeah, you'll understand why that is darker. By class 7, okay, that's going to be well above right now. It's not worth me spending the time to explain to you. If you go back to this question on class 7, you'll understand why that is darker. Actually, no, you won't. Doesn't make sense. 1 second. Maybe it's something to do with your light. Don't understand that. I think it could have been something to do with your light. Anyway, the focusing point is clear. Okay, you're at f22. You clearly understand this. You have a very long depth of field. f8 shallower. And 1.8 super shallow. Okay, excellent. Well understood. This is great. This is great. You're doing really well. Really, I'm very impressed with how you're doing. Excellent. Pat on the back. So we've got these stats are perfect, gorgeous. When we've got stats, we've got 3 options: good, bad, or perfect. Okay, these stats are perfect. Excellent. Great light over here. This is excellent stuff, Sara. Excellent. Really good. Pat on the back. Good direction, moving this way. There's more. You've felt the balance of the picture. Okay, his eyes are above center. You've listened to everything and you've incorporated it, and you have got a perfectly balanced image. There's a lot of this image demonstrates a lot of sensitivity that you have. Excellent. Okay. There's also sensitivity here. I like the light here is okay. The light here actually works for his. It's considered messy light, but at least it gives you this gorgeous blue around here. You could have lightened him a little bit in post. This is excellent. You've placed him on a third, a quarter. This is, I mean, he looks like he's much taller than you. It's a very like masculine way of taking a picture of a guy to get down lower. He looks very, powerful, which is good. That's what men want to look like. Great. This is great. Arms folded. You've created a lovely frame. Good triangle. Movement going in that direction to space. Excellent. Okay. And bang on again. Really, very good. Super impressed with that. Perfect. Perfectly cropped in. The background is not something that we'd usually be doing. Okay. This light here is considered very messy. I would never take a picture like this if I didn't have flash with me. Not never. I would, if I was taking this picture, I would have him looking in that direction, and you'd see that the light would start to fall very beautifully. We haven't discussed lighting schemes, but there's different lighting schemes for the face. Okay, I'm not going to get into it now. It's going to be in the flash course that we are trying to put together as we speak. Okay, we'll let you know about that. Okay. In short, excellent. Head, quarter, half, perfect. Really good. Okay, barrel distortion. I actually love this picture, and I like the fact that it's not pin sharp, but you are absolutely not to blame for that. Those stats are also perfect. Wow, for such a situation, those are perfect. I mean, they're not good stats, but that's because you're limited by your camera, but they are perfect. I would think 25th of a second, the playoff between the ISO and the shutter speed. Nailed it. Anyway, this is barrel distortion. It's better. The distortion is not. You're not fully zoomed out, so you didn't like get that the bang so much. There is distortion there, but it's more subtle. It's not fully zoomed out, so that would have increased it. But okay, good. Okay, is this your photo shoot now? 1 second. This is your photo shoot. Let's just get rid of these two images. Put them over here. Okay. The drool, okay, not a fan of the drool, sorry, that sticks out in mind. Remember, don't fall into the photographer's trap. The photographer's trap is just to forget about, get so caught up in the qualities of the image and the light and the composition and the colours and the patterns, textures, etc., etc., etc. They forget about things like a nice smile. You with me? Remember that that's all people care about. Everything else is just fluff on top. Okay, all people care about is how they look. So that is a big no-no. No one wants to see a drooling child. Okay, just I'm trying to let you. I'm giving it a little hard to you, but that's how it goes. Focus. You just missed the focus. He's underexposed. I'm not a fan of this picture, Sara. Sorry, you could do a lot better than that. But anyway, thank you. Okay, onward. This is much better. This is nice. We could fix this by him moving down. The baby should move down a little bit. This triangle has become crushed. It should be... 1 second. It is like this. But I think a more pleasing triangle would be something like this. That would go more with this outer shape as well. Okay, but you've done this is it's very good. It's very good composition. Like just like he should be a little bit down, but we've got a lot of lines moving around here. We've got these lines over this way. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Excellent, very good. He could be turned a little further in, and like I said, the baby a little lower down. Also, random arms hanging out. Better to get parents to hold kids' hands. That generally helps. Okay, this is cute. This is great. I would be. He looks just his face is a little close to his face. It's very difficult taking pictures of a kid like this. That's a great shot. That's a great shot. It's very difficult. He's like. I can see he's just walking. He's not walking. He's just standing up, which is 1 sec. Okay, it's difficult. So number one, that's to be aware of. Technically, it's a little bit underexposed. You will understand this is for sure underexposed. Oh no, you're in manual. Okay, you're in manual, so you drop underexposed. That could be because a very important thing to know is the back screen. Okay, when your eye has an aperture. Okay, when you're in a dark place, your pupil dilates, it gets big. Okay, and when you're in a bright place, it constricts and gets small. Contracts, I think is the word. Okay, so now when you look at your screen, you see different, like when I'm sitting in my office, everything looks normal. When I go outside, everything looks normal. So your eye is adjusting for the light, just like a camera. I should say your camera adjusts for light, just like the eye. So now when you look at your screen in bright daylight, your eye has constricted, so which means you look at the screen, it appears to you a little bit darker. Okay, when you go to a darker place, it appears to be a little bit darker when you're looking at it in the daytime. That means that you compensate and make it brighter. So there's a tendency for people to overexpose images in bright daylight. And then the opposite is true. I'm not going to explain that because you can work out yourself. But in a darker place, your eye dilates, so things look brighter. So it could be here you've moved from a bright place to a dark place, and your eye was tricked, and you thought it was brighter than it was, so it underexposed a little bit more. That could be the reason why you're a little bit underexposed. Hope you understood that. You can go back and listen to it again if you didn't. It's quite straightforward. That is a great shot. It would be better. It'd be very difficult to do this, but that is a that breaks the composition. This hand should be over here. Okay. This is great. I always take this kind of picture. This is a great shot for this child that I don't believe much, for this like level of child, as in like a pre-walker, and looks quite young as well. This is like the best kind of pitch you can get, unless when you put him on his front, if he lifts up like you saw before, it also didn't look so great. But that would have been a nice shot. That's also a good shot for the age of the baby. I'm assuming it's the same baby. Yeah, sure. Okay. But this is great. This is great. Excellent exposure. Great stats. Good stats. Okay. This is nice. Wasted space here, not necessary. We can get rid of a little bit of that. Okay, good. Get them a little closer. I know it's difficult, but get them a little closer. That would also make a difference. And I'm sure you took a lot of other pictures as well, because this is obviously one of a series. At first they're looking at you and then looking to the side. What I do generally try and do, the three kind of options that I have without getting all quirky and crazy, which we do as well, is looking straight at you, and then looking at each other, and then both of them looking off camera. Okay, just to the right or to the left, not too far. Okay, what should we take into Lightroom? And you know what, let's take this into, although I could bang this out, this could be really cool, but let's just show you how to get rid of this drool in Photoshop. 1 second. Okay, so what would I jump to? I would first go to, I think I would choose, I'll just see if this works. This is my, what's it called? My healing brush tool. Oh, not bad. Not bad. Now this is the annoying bit. So what I'm going to do here is, this is a little bit tricky. This is actually quite tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a lasso tool. I'm going to take a bit of this. Okay, I'm going to feather it a little bit, something like 3. I'm going to create a copy of this layer via copy, and now I'm able to move this little bit. I'm going to turn it a drop. There we go. That was lucky how it went so easily. And now I wouldn't have done this for this picture anyway, but I think we can just stretch this out to get it to look perfect. You can see that a little bit how. So then after that I would. This is again trying to do it's not necessarily the best, but it's the best and the quickest put together. I would flatten the image, and then I would do a Gaussian blur. Not that much, just to drop. 1 second, and you'll see what I'm doing in a minute. Just like that. Drop more until that disappears. Okay, now I'm going to go here. I'm going to put my history brush to here, go back a step. Okay, I don't know if you've watched the actual Photoshop tutorial yet, but you'll see anyway if this is. Now I can just paint that in, and it dissolves it there like that. That's fine. Maybe let's just have a look. So we went from that. So that, I think, you know what I would also actually do, just to make it more realistic, is now use my clone tool. I'm just cloning this bit over here. There we go. That's pretty realistic. It didn't take too long, but it definitely took much longer than grabbing a tissue and going like that, or your sleeve, which I do with kids all the time using my sleeves. Okay, excellent. So really, I'm very impressed and looking forward to seeing what you do for us next week. Okay, all the best.